everybody, welcome back to another episode of Plastic Polygons, and in today's video we gotta talk about PremiumDNA's release of the Banjo Kazooie set. I mean, look at the sheer size of this box alone. If this doesn't get you excited, then you obviously aren't a Banjo Kazooie fan like I am. I was not expecting it to be this big, however. I mean, this box is absolutely huge. Two versions of this figure. This one in particular is the Flocked version, which has like a fuzzy texture to the fur on Banjo. So with that out of the way, welcome to the CesArcade. Let's get into it. Now, this is a figure, like I said, I've had in its box for about a couple of years already since I bought it on Big Bad Toy Store. And yes, the Flocked version, I figured, why not? Let's check this one out. This looks like a cool idea. It's the Banjo Kazooie figure that PremiumDNA has released. However, the Flocked version has kind of that fuzzy texture on the fur. Will that introduce problems? Yes, apparently it does. And I've always been iffy about opening this guy up because I love how it looks in the box, but I think it's about finally time to tackle him because I don't see many people review the actual Flocked version of this guy, so I want to get into it. But first, let's take a look at some of the accessories. Oh boy. So, in terms of the overall package here, there are some QC issues here and there that I do want to address. And first, let's start off with the accessories. So first, we got a nice metallic Jiggy, which is all good and dandy. Of course, you're going to have a Jiggy. It's nice and gold. However, you turn it around on this side, and already we're looking at our first QC issue right there. Some paint scrape. How the hell did that happen? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, from this side it looks fine. From this side, not so much. That being said, I believe it's supposed to be displayed this way anyway, so cool. Let's take a look at the paws, open paws. Overall, I think the paint is done pretty nicely on this. Nice mixes of oranges and browns. And I think it overall looks pretty good. What you're going to see is, and this is an issue I see on a lot of figures with these kind of joints. Some parts of those joints are painted, and some of them are not. And unfortunately, as you continue to articulate these type of joints, the paint will get trapped in between the crevices and get scraped off. And this situation reminds me a lot of some of NECA's toys, and this is no different. I mean, just look at mine right here. First of all, this paw is atrocious. You got some black ink here. Don't know how that got there. I can't even scrape it off. It's stuck on there, and you can see the paint on that joint is, oh boy, not great. Let's take a look at the kazoo that Kazooie comes with, and overall, no complaints here. Pegs into her mouth. It came like that in the box, and it's a nice kazoo. It works. Here we have the top of Banjo's backpack in case you want to display him without Kazooie in it. And there it goes. Just kind of slots in there on the top of the backpack where Kazooie does. The actual Banjo, it looks fine enough. It's kind of got a little cheap feel to it, but overall the paint on this one isn't too bad. Overall, it looks fine. I don't have any complaints with that really. The alternate Banjo head, which is how I'm probably going to display him without his teeth, with that grin. You know, out of the box, you get a lot of this fuzzy, I guess, discharge from this whole flocked material that you can see here. It's not applied well one bit, and it's kind of on his cheeks, close to it. You can kind of just rub that off, honestly. It's not that big of an issue. So that does indeed come off. It's on his eyes, however, so you want to rub that off. However, you don't want to rub it too much on the actual fur because you're going to get situations like this where it doesn't look like it was applied properly or sealed for that matter. And yes, as you see, you got some of it bleeding onto the actual snout of Banjo. But overall, I think the sculpt here looks great. Little tuft of hair on the top of his head. His eyes look great. Nicely detailed. Let's take a look at Kazooie. But as you can see, she slots into the back of his backpack, and overall, I think that's a cool look. However, I'm probably going to display her by herself, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. So all you gotta do is just take Kazooie off the backpack and slot her into her bottom piece here. And it's as simple as that. No issues there. Now, Kazooie has some articulation as well, so that's always good. So let's take a look at Kazooie, because I think Kazooie is fantastic here. Overall, Kazooie's face looks nice and energetic. I love the eyelashes, the eyes, the beak. Everything is good. The mouth looks great, nice and glossy on the beak, and of course the little tip of her beak is also painted like it should be. The texture work on her body is also very good. Like, they did a great job here. The paint looks nice, and a little splash of yellow there on the chest. That also gradients on the tip of her wing feathers, and it just looks great. She's got a nice soft plasticky material done to her wings, done up with the red, and it's also done up on the rest of the body as well. And the wings look great. Kazooie's head looks great. The body looks pretty good, aside from the seam there where the body connects to the bottom portion. The little tail feathers also look good. However, I don't know, you want to be careful with that. I wouldn't want to bend those too much. They look like they could snap off, but maybe some crazy glue will fix that. She's slapping Banjo in the face. Let's get her back here. And of course, the legs do have some articulation here, so let's take a look at that. You could kind of turn them around. The joints feel a bit tight, which I understand why. Kind of don't want a Kazooie to fall face forward. One thing I did notice as well with the feet, which look good, I gotta say. They look great, although they look a bit thick. I know, if they made the toes any thinner, then I'm sure then she would have had issues standing up, but they made them thick for a reason, and there is no articulation as far as I can tell in the ankle area, so that's just one solid piece connecting to another solid piece, but the range of movement is there where the leg connects into the body. Also note, despite the legs being on a ball joint here, there is a swivel here as well, where the yellow meets the red. So that's kind of helpful. Also of note, her wings do of course move around and flap on a ball joint, which is nice and good. Gotta love some articulation for the wings as well as the head on the neck area. So Kazooie can move quite a bit. It's the legs that are a bit limiting. However, I do not want to stress those too much because I feel like they're going to snap. But overall, I gotta say, I love how Kazooie came out. I think she looks fantastic. Let's try to stand her up. So yeah, I'm probably doing this wrong, but Kazooie's kind of top heavy. It doesn't help that the wings kind of shift her weight forward and those legs are not really holding her up too well, which is quite unfortunate. Alright, so some success here. Managed to get Kazooie to stand upright a little bit. Take some finagling with those ball joints in the legs as well as twisting those yellow areas of her feet and her legs. And you can eventually get her to stand up straight, otherwise she's just kind of hunched forward, and that's not very helpful, especially considering the weight distribution of her wings. However, you can get her to stand up. It's possible, it's just a little difficult, and it takes some finagling. Even so now, she still wants to fall forward. Come on, Kazooie, what the hell's wrong with you? Alright, there you go. Like I said, use the wings, help distribute some of that weight, although I think the Kazoo, despite being light, might tip her over. Just shove that in her mouth so she can shut up. There you go, that works. Although I probably won't have her with it in her mouth. So one thing I gotta give credit to PremiumDNA for is the fact that this guy definitely feels premium. He's nice and hefty, doesn't feel cheap or hollow. However, he does have issues, and you could probably already see some of the issues that I'm talking about, or about to talk about. So let's just take a look at the details first, and move down the body. This is his smiling face with his toothy grin. Overall, everything here, in terms of details, look good as well. However, again, QC issues like the crop up. In case the flocked material here, you can see it got some of that cream beige paint on there, and it's not looking like I could take that off. You got it kind of looking like a little bald spot here. You got some of that flocked discharge in the ear, which is not cool. And yeah, well, overall, the details on the teeth, the snout, his nose, the eyes, overall, that looks good. So moving down the rest of the figure, you got his little signature little necklace there. Moving on the rest of the body, while it looks cool in practice, it's not necessarily great. Because here's the bottom torso of Banjo. As you can see here, the flocked material is barely there, which means that it's been either not applied properly, like it was on this side, or when you articulate the figure around the waist area, you can see that's going to be an issue, and it's going to start creeping up where you're going to be rubbing off that flocked material. So that right there is not good. So I got to deduct points for that. Once again, the joints on the arms. Look at this. We were talking about this with the alternate hands. This is even more ridiculous. I mean, look at that material right there. That is just, it's just broken there. It's just ripped. At that point, what's the point of even having it there on the joint? You're not really gonna, you know, the joint is gonna be visible regardless, and you're gonna have that little tuft of material just kind of sticking out there. Probably gonna have to just rip that off at some point, because that looks awful. Looking at the rest of the body, you can see, once again, the joint, flocked material. Oh, not good bedfellows, not good at all. On this side, it's also an issue. On this elbow, less so. You see, I would have actually preferred if it looked like that without the flocked material trying to get in the way. Paint-wise, I do notice some, once again, some more QC issues here. As you can see, the paint looks like it was damaged a little bit. Moving down the shorts, I love his yellow shorts. Nice and vibrant, the belt looks good. Not many complaints I have here, actually. This looks good. This looks great, actually. And down to his legs, looks good and feels good there. The feet also look nice and look good. Now let's take a look at the backpack. The backpack can actually come off. It's only attached to Banjo with these little straps, so you can unpeg it from the back of his torso and pull it off, and that's what you get. Naked Banjo without the backpack. If you want to have him swinging his backpack and doing the whirl attack from Banjo-Tooie, you can have him do that. This flocked material that they used is just getting all over my white table. That's not good, man. Take a look at the articulation first, and let's see. The head moves left and right. You can look down a little bit, look up, in conjunction with the torso, of course. You get some waist swivel there. You could bend forward a good amount, actually. I didn't know you could do that much. Bend back a little bit, kind of stand up straight. I mean, this is about as wide as the arms can go. You can swivel them at the shoulder, however. I mean, also just look for a minute at the shoulder here. I'm rotating it around. I'm getting a lot of resistance there because of that flocked material, just kind of grinding up on the inside, and I can't really see what's going on in there. It's causing some traffic, and unfortunately, it's rubbing off there as well. I'm trying to rotate the arm all the way around, and oh my god, it's shedding everywhere. Oh boy. I thought I got the superior version. I guess. So that's good. There is a bend at the elbow, but again, it's limited, unfortunately. And then of course the hinge at the wrists, and also swivel there. And for the legs, you can kick forward just a little bit before the sculpt starts rubbing up against each other. You can't really do much in terms of like the kick back, but there is knee articulation, and of course swivel at the waist, swivel at the knee, and there's ankle pivot as well as a hinge. However, no rotation I'm getting from that foot. Would have been nice if these hands can actually hold on to that banjo, but nope, they just kind of just, there's no grip whatsoever. So if you want Banjo holding that banjo, man. How does this even work? I don't know. So this is tough because I really do like this figure set. It's really awesome. However, the price I paid for it back then was $79.99. And given how many QC issues that this version in particular has, I don't know. I mean, it's tough. If you're a huge Banjo-Kazooie fan like I am, me personally, it's one of my favorite 3D platformers, if not my favorite 3D platformer, Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie. I had to own this one because it's just more Banjo merch. That being said, there are a lot of QC issues, especially with Banjo and the flocked version. There is a normal version without that flocked material, and I might actually recommend that you go with that one on Big Bad Toy Store still to this day, which also has a steep discount, and it's around the $50 price range, and with that price, I could recommend it. However, at the price I paid for it, I wouldn't recommend it too much because, like I said, all the QC issues that it does indeed have. It's a shame too because I think PremiumDNA could have had a lot of potential, but there is so much controversy regarding that company and them being able to like get figures out on time and legitimately, and that's unfortunate. Me personally, I only own this one and then the Earthworm Jim that I ended up getting off AliExpress, and it was never officially released in the States yet. I don't know what's going on with that figure and its US domestic release. Did I get a bootleg? I highly doubt it. Did I get an early version that was not up to snuff? I don't know. There is no communication with PremiumDNA and its customer base, which is really unfortunate, and who knows how much longer they'll last. But that being said, if you're a huge fan of Banjo Kazooie, this is a really nice figure set to own. If you're going to keep it in this box, more so, but I would suggest you get them out and display them. Just stay away from the flocked version, because if you ask me, this is kind of the inferior version. With that being said, that was another episode of Plastic Polygons. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and if you did, hit the like button, maybe share the video with some of your friends, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video. I wish you all a good game, and good night.